The iPhone 6. The iPhone that had so many problems, but so many people loved. Released in September 2014, people were excited that Apple finally is releasing a bigger phone like a majority of the population. But people were a little deceived when Bengay and touch disease came around. Hey guys, I'm Ethan from Alumni Tech 47, and today we are going to be looking at the iPhone 6 and Bengay aside. Is it still usable today? Before we get started, make sure that you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at AlumniTech47. Both links will be down in the description so that you can go check me out. So is the iPhone 6 still usable? I will say yes, but I will also say no. People love this phone, and it is Apple's most sold iPhone with 220 million units sold throughout. But the iPhone 6 was also disappointing. And to understand that, let's go back a couple of years. The iPhone 6 was released at the Apple Special event in September of 2014. They showed the new design as well as the two bigger sizes that it came with. People were happy that Apple was finally releasing a bigger phone like other companies were doing already. But I remember people not liking the bigger size. They said that the newest iPhone now requires two hands to operate, and why to get the iPhone 6 Plus is just going to be too big. And although that died quickly, there were some other problems that I'll get into soon. The iPhone 6 had the new A8 chip, which is a tiny bit faster than the A7, but not enough to make a dramatic difference. That is why Apple doesn't support the iPhone 6 anymore. Another reason why is because it still has only 1 GB of RAM. They also announced the iPhone 6 Plus, which has a slightly bigger battery. This iPhone games reasonably okay. The only thing that happens while you are gaming and doing heavy tasks on this phone is that it will get hot. The battery won't go down super fast either. And with this phone being on iOS 12, it still performs well loading the App Store as well as websites and videos. They also showcased how the new iPhone was also thinner than even the 5 and 5S. They also showed off the same 8 megapixel camera, although it now had optical image stabilization. For the iPhone, that is about it. The rest was about iOS 8 and other software related things. iOS 8 was a nice upgrade from iOS 7 as it patched some things that it didn't have. It added the Health app and QuickType. It also removed some things like the newsstand, the missed notifications bar at the Notification Center. And that was basically it. iOS 9 is where new features came in that improved the iPhone software feature-wise. Going to the tech specs of the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, you had some areas of improvement, but also areas that stayed the same. First of all, the display was increased with a 4.7-inch display on the 6 and a 5.5-inch display on the 6 Plus. Bigger screens can also mean a bigger battery. The iPhone 6 has an 1810 mAh battery and the 6 Plus has a 2915 mAh battery. That's a big jump from the previous 1650 mAh battery on the 5S, especially on the 6 Plus. You again have the A8 chip inside as well as the 1GB of RAM. Storage also came in 16, 32, 64, and 128 GB. You have the same Touch ID sensor on the front and the lightning jack and headphone jack on the bottom. The speaker didn't really get better, it just got louder. The buttons on the iPhone 6 are now all on the side. The sleep/wake button is on the right side and the larger volume buttons as well as the ringer switch on the left side. On the back of the phone you still have all the FCC labels and numbers on the back. You also have the new and ugly antenna bars on the top and bottom of the phone. It's a good thing that they improved that on the iPhone 7 and removed it on the iPhone 8. Other than the noise cancelling speaker on the front, that leaves us with the two cameras. The rear camera is the same 8 megapixels but now features optical image stabilization, as well as the ability to record at 1080p at 60 frames per second, as well as slow-mo at 720p at 240 frames per second. The front-facing camera is still a 1.2 megapixel with no stabilization. That means that it can only record in 720p at 30 frames. I'll show you some pictures from the iPhone 6 right now. only footage that looks bad is the front-facing camera images and video. It looks like it was filmed on the iPhone 3GS. The iPhone 6 had a few other problems as well. You may know most of them, but you may also not. The iPhone 6 only went to iOS 12 as well as the iPhone 5S. This makes the iPhone 6 look bad. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus were also made out of cheap aluminum, and since they were big and thin, they bent easily. Various sources showed how easily it bent and even broke at the bottom of the volume button keys. I remember at the time LG was making their curved phones and I saw someone on the bus with their iPhone 6. I saw that it looked funny and kind of like that curved LG phone. She told me that she places her phone in her rear pocket as many people do and it just bends like that over time. The screen wasn't cracked or anything, but it bent over so slightly. You also have touch disease on this phone. For those who don't know what that is, it's kind of easy to define in a sense. It was when you sat on your phone from being in your pocket, and what will happen is not only the phone will bend, but the screen and logic board will bend as well. That results in your phone being completely useless. Now usually it's just a screen issue, but sometimes it damages the logic board as well. Apple did respond to this by having a repair program for the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus affected with this problem, and also promised to have more durable aluminum in their next iPhone, which they did. Luckily for me, this phone was well taken care of and didn't suffer any of these problems. That leads us quickly about my iPhone 6 that I have here. We are pretty much the original owners of this iPhone 6. We bought it back in late 2015 for my grandma. She was upgrading from the iPhone 5C that she previously used. She used this phone for quite a while, up until about September or October of last year is when she upgraded to an iPhone 10. So I asked if I could buy the phone from her, but she just gave it to me. Also, just so you know, my other grandma just upgraded to an iPhone 10 and she also gave me her iPhone 6, so I have two iPhone 6s now. When I got it, all it needed was a battery replacement and an erase. This iPhone was manufactured only a month before we bought it in August, so she got this phone running iOS 9, but the phone ran iOS 8.4.1 coming out of the factory. In the end, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus are still usable today, if you don't bend it. Although it does not run the latest version of iOS anymore, it is still an excellent phone to use for now. In the next year or two, developers will stop making apps to run on iOS 12, and then you'll be like the rest of the iPhones down there. I do see a few people that have the iPhone 6 in the world, although they could be using an iPhone 6s. But seriously, this phone is good, but also not. The iPhone 6 was Apple's top most sold iPhone ever, and they haven't gotten more of one type of iPhone sold that much since then. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and like the video. It helps me to create more videos for you guys to enjoy. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at alumnitech47, which I will have linked down below. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.